Welcome to a world where shootings, kidnappings and gang warfare are just part of the job. We're going on the journey to meet the real deal. Law enforcers who put their lives on the line every day, patrolling the most dangerous beats on the planet. So buckle up, because we're about to roll with the world's toughest cops. Jamaica has one of the highest murder rates in the world, with one committed every 9 hours. Rival gangs have turned parts of the Jamaican capital of Kingston into hostile war zones. And caught in the middle, trying to stop Kingston descending into all-out civil war, is the police.
There's some shooting up in the Kansas Spring area. One man has been shot and killed, and a police was also shot and injured.
A 13 Kingston means basically a man's gonna kill him.
Listen to me, I am talking to you. Listen to me, listen to me.
You have to be the teacher, you have to be the doctor, you have to be the social worker.
You have gun? It takes good heart, strong will to really continue doing the job.
Shooting death of a detective sergeant. Yesterday's fatal shooting of an 11-month-old boy ended the life of yet another lawman.
He was shot and killed by a gunman. The murder.
The child was shot in the mouth.
A family is saddened by a double murder.
With a population of just 650,000, Kingston is considered to be one of the murder capitals of the world. The Jamaica Constabulary Force has 7,000 officers in the Caribbean capital. And on the front line of this ongoing violence is 33-year-old patrol officer Corporal Byron Lewis.
This is an M16, and this is a magazine. All right.
Stationed in Kingston's notorious east side, Lewis and the mobile patrol unit are preparing for the 14-hour night shift.
Hopefully, we'll have a peaceful night. Don't want to come out with any injuries. Self-preservation is first. So basically, that's it, and we head out.
Well, I'm a gangster for life. Take your life, take your wife, and everything else. Gangster for life.
Being a cop in Jamaica is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Of the 1,500 gun-related killings committed last year, 19 of them were cops, shot down and killed in the line of duty.
For one, they know that it's a risky job. However, you're out there to save lives.
90% of the time, the situation looks and feels hopeless, but we have to try.
With a basic annual salary of just £2,500, money isn't a motivation.
I'm going to ask the question, if your job is so difficult, why not quit it? But guess what? If you are destined and each and every day you go out there and you have touched someone else's life, you will be overwhelmed to know that, yes, at least I have touched someone and someone has changed.
It is the only thing that keeps us going mentally and physically, because we have no other motivation. We're not motivated by the people, we're not motivated by our superiors.
And we're not motivated by the salary.
We're not motivated by the salary. So it's just the mere fact that, yes, God is here with us and we are doing a good job.
3 hours into the patrol, the dark side of Kingston comes to life.
Noted. Rockford released from East Upstream. Shots been fired at Rockford. So we are running this one.
There are an estimated 32,500 gang members in Kingston, so the cops are outnumbered by more than 4 to 1. Rockford is one of the city's toughest gang enclaves. 2 patrol cops going in on their own could be suicide. They need to call in backup.
This is the other team.
Police control of GCME3.
Why'd you go with no lights, guys?
You don't want them to see you. So what you do, you try to go as close as possible without being detected.
This is a no-go area, even for the cops.
Alpha GCME3 from Portugal.
And there are gunmen on the loose.
MIT base east and Oxford. Your response from control WhatsApp.
Suddenly, Lewis and his unit spot a suspicious vehicle.
Live in this area, sir?
No.
Where you come from?
But I go to the church up the road there.
Oh. What?
I
What
go
church?
to the church that you just passed. We were having a meeting.
Okay.
We were holed up in the church for a long time because of the shots.
Real?
Okay.
Which section they were coming from?
All around us.
All around here?
What's going on? What, did
All
you
right.
just pull that guy over?
Yeah, well, because we want to know if it was the guys that were firing the shot was trying to get out of the community.
They head deeper into gang territory in pursuit of the shooters. It's every cop's worst nightmare. They have no idea what might be around the next corner. Concerned that they might be facing some serious firepower, Lewis calls in the Jamaican army for extra support. They think they have a fix on the gunman's location. Lewis and his team are sitting ducks in the heart of gangland. He has a big decision to make. Does he go in and try to apprehend the gunman? This could result in a major firefight and put the lives of himself and his unit at risk.
With that, we can tell what is to expect and how we can confront it.
This is the everyday reality of being a cop in Kingston. Making decisions that could mean the difference between life and death. Lewis decides the situation is too risky and pulls the units out. This time the gunmen have got away.
There's a thin line between a fool and bravery. It's a thin line. And a lot of people cannot distinguish which is which. So if shot is raining down there and you want to walk out in it, it's, I wouldn't say it's bravery. Stupidity. That's stupidity.
The Jamaican capital of Kingston is a breeding ground for violent crime. So for the cops, each day at work is literally a matter of life or death.
The epidemic of drugs and guns in Jamaica has made Kingston one of the toughest cities in the world to police.
It's my son! Right. Oh my God! God, I was solved the problem! God, give me strength!
The island's location is just 445 miles north of the Colombian coast. South American drug cartels use it to transit their product onto Europe and North America. According to the UN, 10 tons of cocaine comes through Jamaica a year. Charged with the task of preventing drugs from entering Jamaica is Kingston's Marine Patrol. Sergeant Everton Reynolds and his crew have to patrol the Caribbean Sea that surrounds the island. And these waters can be as dangerous as some of Kingston's toughest neighbourhoods.
Of course, if we have to use force, we'll use as much force as is necessary.
Drug smugglers, willing to kill anyone who gets in their way, often pass through these waters trying to get their product onto the island.
Sometimes we are warned that these people, that if intercepted, are heavily armed. So we carry M16 rifles and the sidearms like the Glock pistol. If we should encounter these guys out there, then it's either we protect ourselves or they get the better of us.
Jamaica's fishing industry means that hundreds of small boats sail in these waters, some of which are used to smuggle illegal goods onto the island. With only 12 high-powered boats in the entire unit and over 146 miles of coastline to protect, the odds are stacked against the cops.
We have a target. We are going to intercept that small fishing boat. Come alongside, Chief. Come alongside. We are going to see what he has on board. You have any firearm? No. Right? No. This is one of the challenges that we face out here. It's difficult to search under these nets. One never know what you're going to come upon. You have fish on board? Let me see it. You have gun? What's in the bag there? Don't do anything. What is in your pocket? Tell me what's in your pocket. Oh, take it out, let me see it. All right, cool, easy.
But as well as spot checking the local fishermen, Reynolds always keeps his eye on the bigger catch. Despite the fact that in 2 years the police seized 260 kilos of cocaine, the smugglers avoid detection by using the mangroves on Jamaica's shoreline.
Yeah, this is part of the mangrove that we have found vessels, right, hidden under the mangroves, yeah, laden with drugs. The mangroves form a canopy. It's difficult to be seen if you're just sailing past or if you even use like a helicopter. It's difficult. The drug runners can always be there, and you stand up here and look down there, you don't see them. They're always trying to stay one step ahead of us, and we are always trying to stay one step ahead of them. It's an ongoing, it's a tug of war, you know, between them and us.
It's not just drugs that find a way onto the island. Every year, hundreds of illegal guns make their way to Jamaica. These are used in the frequent shootings that occur across the country. In 2007, the police seized 630 guns, but it's impossible to stop them all. Back on the streets, Patrol Cop Corporal Lewis is facing the grim reality of the weapons which find their way into the hands of the criminals.
There is a murder up by Rallington Town.
Rawlington Town is one of Kingston's most notorious neighbourhoods. Here, as in the rest of the country, death is nothing unusual. In 2007, only 6 days of the year passed where no Jamaican was reported murdered. Lewis's unit have been called in to help process the crime scene.
A man came up and shoot somebody who lives over here. And he succumbed to the injuries at the hospital. Typical what happened in Jamaica, in the corporate area of Kingston.
So the guy that was shot is dead?
Yes, he is dead. One shot to the head and he's dead at the he was pronounced dead at the hospital. When you look at the type of armor that these guys have, and you have few in numbers and they have real powerful weapons, you have to wonder and think back, where does these weapons come from? How does these weapons reach into the hands of a teenager? Oh,
you can't afford to buy food. Barefooted, without shirt, in some torn clothes. At the same time, they have rifles valued $300,000.
Exactly. So how does a weapon like that magnitude reach into the hands of criminals?
So, one from Central. Patrol inquiries, Kingston Central.
Gang crime in Kingston has a long and violent history, dating back more than 40 years.
Violence is no stranger to the streets of Kingston. In 1962, Jamaica gained independence from Great Britain and 2 political parties vied for control of the island. Gangs were formed with allegiances to these parties, and down the years, election time sees mass violence spill onto the streets. More than 40 years later, they are still at war. And the sorry testament to this is that Kingston is one of the world's deadliest cities. In this dangerous city, when the public are in trouble, they call in the police. But when the police are in trouble, they call in the flying squad, the JCF's elite unit.
Flying Squad 1, Happiness Ford.
Heading up the squad is Superintendent Cornwall Bigger Ford, a tough, no-nonsense cop who's been fighting crime on the streets of Kingston for over 30 years.
What is actually happening there? Some shooting up in the Constant Spring area. One man has been shot and killed, another person injured, and a police was also shot and injured. The flying squad team, we are going up there to give our assistance right now. As you see, it's quite dangerous, you know. Very, very dangerous on earth. Take the right turn.
With the shootout still taking place and the cops still under fire, they are racing to get over to the other side of town in the middle of rush hour traffic.
My team, the men are in armored gear. We are using the M16 rifles and stuff. So, you know, we go prepared. you know, when an officer is down, it's almost like I am down also. Control Flying Squad 1. All right, we are in the Cassava Peace area. This is the area where there's an ongoing gang warfare.
Being such a well-known cop in Kingston, Ford's presence at the crime scene provokes a reaction from the local community.
What really are going on? How would that dead down there, sir? A outer man. There's so much outer man about the place.
Place mash up. Only him can cool it, only him can bring it back. He bigger for the hero everywhere him go. Him know if to deal with the citizens the right way. Him know everybody, him know the right and the wrong.
Ford needs to find out exactly what has happened.
Well, what we're seeing here now, it's a police fatal shooting. Information coming to me is that there was a shooting on Manningsville Road earlier where a man was shot and killed. The police were in pursuit of some people, and during the shootout, this man was shot and killed. The police was also shot and killed. But what is actually happening, there's an ongoing feud between two sets of gangs in the area.
It's not even 9 a.m. and 4 dead bodies, one a cop, are already on their way to the morgue. For the cops in Kingston, mornings like this are all too common. Making it one of the toughest beats in the world.
In Jamaica, the police are fighting a deadly crime wave, with 4 murders happening every day. In the capital city of Kingston, for the cops, it's kill or be killed.
For Superintendent Cornwall Bigger Ford, head of the flying squad, his working week is only an hour old, and he has already got 4 murders, 1 a fellow cop to deal with.
Bit hot. Lot of problems.
More than any other cop in Kingston, Ford has the ear of the community, so he begins to question the locals about the morning shootings to try to find out what happened.
Hey, Willow! You know, police dead. You know, had a man dead last night, man dead today again. What go on in the area? One, him dead, you know. Him them say kill the police, you know. Yeah, man, the policeman dead. As you see, there's a lot of concerned citizens because they need the violence to be stopped, to be curtailed immediately. Everything all right? I see them shoot up your area.
I need to speak to you.
No? No, go over the plaza. But how are the boy that mash up the place? We are dealing with it. I mean, me personally, I deal with it. All right? All right, so you have my number, call me, yeah?
She knows something about the shooting?
Yes, it appeared that way. 778-4522. 778-4522. You see, I've been giving my number all day. You see, people will take the number and call you. Yeah, man, I'm dead, man. Bad news always travel fast, especially in Jamaica.
See, it get worse till police come dead now. How we are going to manage? We don't know how we are going to manage.
Well, the citizen, the police, and everybody have to get together and tap it. You have to be the teacher, you have to be the doctor, you have to be the social worker. You have to do all things.
Ford has tracked down the location where the shootout began.
Side lead bullet. These are some spent shell that were earlier fired in a case of a murder. and injure another man. What actually happened, the police came here to investigate, got some information, and went after the men who it's alleged did the shooting. And then you had a confrontation around on the gully bank.
Mr. Ford, I noticed a lot of the other cops on the scene are wearing body armour and protection. How come you're not?
I am a believer, and it's by faith that's why I'm here.
Being a cop in Kingston for over 30 years, Ford's life has been on the line more times than he would care to remember.
I've been shot twice. Lot of incident. The latest one that comes to memories, I came out of a store on Red Hills Road. I heard some shots and saw two men running towards me with guns in hand. And they fired at me. And I took them on and both of them were shot and killed. The guns were recovered and also the cash that they had robbed was recovered. So, you know, you can get lucky sometimes.
How do your family feel about it?
Well, my family has grown with it. All they do is just pray and hope that I'm safe. My wife is a Christian, and she does believe. And I think it's her grace and her prayers and her belief that is probably keeping me.
With murder an everyday thing, the sheer volume of death can seem unmanageable for the cops, with an endless line of faceless victims.
Jamaica sees up to 4 murders every single day. And with the violence in some of the neighbourhoods spiralling out of control, Sergeant Tommy Lee Chambers is charged with trying to keep the peace by maintaining a presence in these volatile areas.
It is not unusual for us to be going around and picking up dead bodies.
But with outbreaks of violence being unpredictable, Sergeant Chambers is always putting herself in the firing line.
Whenever I come here, then I ask the question, am I going to get to go back home to see my daughter or to see the rest of my family? But you see, when you know your community and you communicate with these people, so you can know when to come and when not to come.
A recent round of violence has claimed the life of an innocent girl. Chambers has been called in to try and keep the peace.
We are going to the Burger Gully community to visit the parents of little Coley. She was shot a couple of months ago in the community, but she had succumbed last night at the hospital. So we are going in to have a talk with her family. It was just a drive-by shooting that occurred. We don't know the reason behind it, but it was just a drive-by shooting. She was just standing at the wrong place at the wrong time.
In 2006, 65 children were killed in Jamaica, many of whom were innocent victims of gangland warfare. Jamaica has a culture of reprisal killings, where one shooting often leads to another. Chambers' task is to ensure that the thoughts of the grieving family don't turn into violence.
Miss Anthea! Miss Anthea!
Thursday's our birthday and we did not keep something for her up there. She did.
With talk of revenge in the air, tensions are running high.
Listen to me, I am talking to you. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. If they kill that man, and that man dead and gone, so how you would feel I still wouldn't feel comfortable.
Eye for an eye.
No, I still wouldn't feel comfortable within myself. But Daddy, I wouldn't feel comfortable. Daddy, I wouldn't feel comfortable within myself if I just say, oh, no, go and go kill him. I would like to sit him down and to say to him, what is the reason why you kill him? Do not encourage Althea in that way. Fatty, come here. No encourage Althea in that way. You have to make Althea be strong. We know some agree, but listen to me. You can't encourage her that way.
Chambers and her colleagues face an uphill battle to stop the violence. In 2007 in Jamaica, there were 82 double murders, 10 triple murders, and 5 quadruple murders. Far from an island paradise, Kingston is one of the most violent cities on the planet. Something Detective Patrick Crosby of the Murder Investigation Unit is all too familiar with. His shift is not a question of when he'll be called to a murder scene, but how many times.
You'll be here and sometimes you go through a 10-day period with maybe 1 or 2 murders. You know what I mean? And another time you'll have, as we see here, 9, 10 murders. You know? So it all depends on what happens out there. We can't determine that. You know? Going to crime scenes for me over my 21 years service in this work has not getting any easier on the mind. It may got easier on the eyes because I've gotten used to seeing it so much that it may be easier on the eyes. But mentally, it's not good. It keeps going around in my head, why do this continues to happen?
1 hour into the shift, a call comes through from Central Dispatch.
It's a homicide we have out in the Kingston 2 area. We understand it's a gun-related murder.
With his team of forensic experts, Crosby heads to the crime scene. But the area is still not secured. The first patrol unit to arrive were fired on by the killers.
We were trying to process the scene. We were fired on from across there.
You were fired on?
Yeah.
Did you have to return fire?
No, we had to take over.
It's a part of the Mountain View Avenue, which usually gives problems.
Hearing that his fellow officers have been under fire, Corporal Lewis from the Mobile Patrol Unit has rushed to the murder scene to give backup. Along with the rest of his unit, they are now hunting the gunman down. Meanwhile, Detective Crosby starts to examine the body. Just like him, the locals have seen it all before.
We're here, the very volatile here of Kingston. If you should look around, you'll see how much army personnel we have here in this location. It's like this. These guys are not firing any small caliber weapons. They are firing high-powered weapons, so they can stay at a far distance to fire on you. You know, so it's very, very difficult when you have to attend to crime scene here or respond to any shootings. Very difficult, you know. But it takes good heart, strong will to really continue doing the job.
While the crime scene is being processed, the search continues for the killers.
Someone else got shot, so we are just making a check in this vicinity to see if we see anyone.
As a crowd gathers at the crime scene, someone recognises the lifeless body laying in the street.
Is him? Hmm? What relation is he to you?
My father.
Your father? And you're what relation to him?
He's my auntie.
Okay. All right, just come this way. We soon make you get to look at him. All right, maybe you can't talk to me here now. Come here. What's his name?
On the other side of the neighbourhood, the killers have escaped and Lewis's hunt comes to an end.
How come you're the only one here not wearing a vest?
No, you know, I came at work and I have to just rush out when I heard that the guys were under fire.
So you're putting your own safety at stake to help your colleagues out?
It's one cause. So we're like musketeers, you know, we fight together.
You lost a lot of colleagues in this kind of war?
We lost a close colleague of mine. Just 2 weeks ago, he took a taxi and they were robbing the taxi, and somehow they recognized and realized that he was a police officer, and they held him up and shot him twice and dumped his body on the roadway. So you know, it's really hard to know that you and somebody was like this close and you have lost them to some violent attacks. So you know, that's just basically it.
So he was killed because he was a cop?
Definitely.
And how that make you feel? That he was...
Very bad, honestly. It make you feel very bad. It's a bit discouraging. But guess what? If everyone should drop their arms and say, well, they will not, as a result of what is happening, we would not have a force to fight anything, and crime would go on a rampage. You understand? Somebody have to do it. You understand? So that's just basically it.
Back at the crime scene, and after questioning a number of people, Crosby has gained some important facts about the killing.
We have gathered so far that it could be some reprisal killing. A killing that went on maybe about 2 months ago from a man from the neighboring community. And we are understanding that it could be a link. It could be a reprisal for that murder. You see, this reprisal killing in these communities is a tit for tat. Man kill one, another one kill back another one, they kill two, you kill two, or the killing goes on. You know, where it ends, we don't know. People do tend to believe or take life as it is cheap, which me and you know that it's not, but they tend to treat people's lives like it is cheap.
Oh, shall I go home?
Right back to normal. As far as the pedestrians, the civilians are concerned, it's just back to normal. It's like life is going on. It's just another part of it. Another man has died. Oh, it happened yesterday and the day before. You know what I mean? It's just another part of life. You have become so used to seeing these things, it's like nothing no more. You know? Just like that.
We're on one of the toughest beats in the world, Kingston, Jamaica, where violent crime and murder are part of everyday life.
This is one of the world's toughest beats. Every day for the police is a battle against the war on crime. A war that shows little sign of ending. It's Friday night in downtown Kingston, and Detective Patrick Crosby is already knee-deep in the first murder investigation of the night.
The first 24 hours to any crime, whether it be homicide or shootings, is most important. If you should catch a relative or a close friend of any victim, within the first 24 hours, when they're in their state of distress, distraught, and because maybe the anger that is built up inside them, they will tell you things. But if you should allow that 24 hours to escape, and they should speak to other people who sometimes influences them not to speak to the police, then all of that is gone. What relation is he to you? You don't know if he had any fuss with anyone in the fight. I just want to know if she's safe because we saw her on the scene of the death of her dad. You heard that that fella was killed about a month or so ago. You never heard of him being involved in any criminality, in a gun. Your niece's father. What's the name of that person? I'm hearing that it could be some reprisal for that killing. You would know who wanted to harm him. So for a policeman to be here and each time I go on the street, I am seeing dead bodies on the road or a dead body on the road, it saddens me. If you should check the motive for these crimes, sometimes it's not really anything. Sometimes it's just a fuss over the simplest of things cause a man to take a man's life. And that saddens me even more.
As Crosby's shift continues, Lewis's is coming to an end. It's 8 a.m. and he and his unit have just finished a 14-hour patrol. And thankfully, they're all still in one piece.
Wasn't all that hectic though? Like something.
Being a cop in Kingston is a dangerous occupation.
Seriously.
Coming back with all 30 rounds, Lewis hasn't had to use any of his ammunition. It's been a good night.
Thank the family now that you're finished the shift safely.
Oh, well, I've done that already. Make calls already.
Are you happy with the way the shift went last night?
Very much. But only the one incident where somebody was murdered, that kind of threw it off for us. We would like to have a night where no crime is committed, no one gets killed, and everyone is okay. The educated man will tell us that crime is healthy. Because if it wasn't for crime, we wouldn't have a job and stuff like that. So crime is healthy. And there's no country, I think, of zero crime. None whatsoever.
Welcome to a world where shootings, kidnappings and gang warfare are just part of the job. We're going on the journey to meet the real deal. Law enforcers who put their lives on the line every day, patrolling the most dangerous beats on the planet. So buckle up, because we're about to roll with the world's toughest cops.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. This vast, densely populated metropolis is the biggest city in South America. It's home to 18 million people, where extremes of rich and poor live side by side. In Brazil's economic capital, 20% of the population live in slums or favelas. Such a divide means that robbery, kidnap and urban violence are just a part of normal everyday life. Each year in this one city, there are almost 10 times as many murders as the whole of the UK. To make matters worse, heavily armed criminal organisations are vying for control of the streets. Here, if you're a cop, you're a marked man.
It's a war. It's an urban war.
Eu acho que o homem sem medo é um homem que vive pouco.
Se nós tivéssemos sido subjugados, fôssemos reféns e talvez até fôssemos mortos.
Volta, maluco! Você aí, maluco!
Brazil is the largest country in Latin America. Its biggest city, Sao Paulo, lies 50 miles from the coast in the southwest of the country. Tackling crime in such a heaving cauldron of people needs more than just a regular police force. This is the Special Operations Group, or GOI. Highly trained and heavily armed, GOI step in when things get too hot for the regular cops. "26-year-old GOI officer Rafael Marson has been part of the unit since he was 19.
São Paulo is a very dangerous place to be a police officer. It's a war, it's an urban war. And the criminals, they look the police officers and see personal enemies. They have more sophisticated weapons than the police officers. M15, AK-47.
In the last 5 years, the Sao Paulo police have seized almost 80,000 illegal firearms. 9 out of 10 murders here involve guns, and with 20 police officers killed every year in the city, the cops can't take any chances.
I have a gun 24/7. I sleep with my weapon under my pillow. You can be with your family in a restaurant and you have a robber there. If they find out you're a policeman, they will probably kill you.
Every day, GOI patrol the streets, but they were created to carry out specialist operations. Raphael and partner Jerson are called back to the base, where an extortion case is unfolding. A woman has reported that she is being threatened by a criminal gang. They have stolen her car and are now forcing her to pay them money to get the vehicle back. GOI are setting up a sting operation to catch the men. The victim will go along with the gang's demands, but undercover officers will be lying in wait.
Our team will be in the surroundings, just waiting for a sign. When she gives us a sign, we just go and try to catch these guys. We are worried because we can probably have a gunfight in a public location. We need to concern about the woman, the victim, that will be dealing with the criminals.
After crossing the city, Raphael's unit arrive close to the sting and wait out of sight. But now the gang are stalling on giving the victim a final meeting point.
The criminals are calling the victim, but they're saying, okay, wait, we're gonna call in 10 minutes. We're deciding what location we're gonna meet.
It's a waiting game for GOI, but that's just part of the job. Then, 2 hours later, as it looks like the operation might come to nothing,
The undercover team asked for our support. We don't know exactly what is happening there.
Próxima padaria, a próxima direita. Primeira dentro de toda a padaria, já tem o pessoal lá para o
as the cops storm the scene, one of the suspects, the man with the crash helmet, is caught.
We captured one of the guys who were in charge of receiving the money.
Although the other gang members are nowhere to be seen, it's still a positive result.
There is a big chance we can catch the other guys. Once you have the first guy, he can tell us where are the other guys.
Crucially, the victim and all the officers have come through the experience unharmed.
We didn't have a gunfight, no one wounded. Everybody is going home, and tomorrow we'll have another day.
We're with the cops in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where violent crimes such as murder, rape and armed assault are an everyday thing.
For the last 5 years, there has been an average of 14 murders a day in Sao Paulo. A quarter of all Brazil's murders happen here, which makes this one of the busiest police departments in the city. Homicide. About to start the night shift is Chief Inspector Jose Eduardo. Eduardo has been hunting killers for 16 years, so he knows all about the dangers of the job.
Tenho medo, sempre atento. Só que é um medo que eu controlo. Passo isso aos meus policiais. Tenha medo, mas saiba controlar esse medo numa eventual ação. Eu acho que o homem sem medo é um homem que vive pouco. Vocês estão sem medo agora. Vocês não estão sem medo? Até começarem a atirar na gente, pode ser? Aí nós temos que ficar com medo.
Being a detective puts his young children at risk too.
Eu tenho receio de um dia meus filhos, eu me encontrar numa situação difícil, num assalto, e meus filhos, por serem crianças, serem inocentes, e criança fala o que vem à mente. Meu pai é um policial, e aí o bandido vai realmente agir diferente.
Like most nights in Sao Paulo, it's not long before the call comes.
Te recebeu agora no DHPP pela sala de e-mails.
A prison guard has been killed on his way home from work. It looks like a simple case of robbery gone wrong, but experience has taught Eduardo to assume nothing.
Por ele ser agente penitenciário, a gente não pode descartar alguma vingança.
The first stop is the morgue. The victim initially survived the shooting, but died by the time he reached the hospital.
Quantos tiros ele tomou, hein?
Dá 6 tiros.
6 tiros?
Nas costas.
Eduardo immediately gets to work, questioning the friends and relatives of the victim.
Agora você acha que foi assalto, não? Você acha que foi assalto?
Não, eu acho que não foi assalto, não. Pelo que já falei, eu acho que alguém encontrou com ele, né? Os caras, os presos. Porque ele tá saindo direto daí de Guarulhos, ele leva preso direto. Então acho que encontraram com ele ali naquela quebrada e atiraram.
Você tem uma dica de quem foi? Entre nós não vai pro papel.
Mediante aqui, o que o irmão falou, disse que o irmão dele conhece, já sabe quem é.
The victim's brother was one of the last people to be seen with him, but now he's mysteriously disappeared.
E é estranho o irmão dele não estar aqui. Eu não gosto disso. Que esteve com ele no momento antes do crime. Eu quero ver de perto.
Acho que alguém aqui é mentiroso.
Acho, mas para sobreviver. As pessoas aqui têm medo de falar.
With a strong lead and the clock ticking, Eduardo heads off to check the crime scene. This is a city whose recent history witnessed one of the most violent battles between the cops and an organised criminal gang. Primero Comando de Capital, or PCC, are Sao Paulo's most powerful criminal organisation. Originally a prison gang seeking to avenge poor treatment in Sao Paulo's jails, their influence now extends far beyond the prison gates. As well as drug dealing, extortion and murder, the group have led a terror campaign against public officials and the police. In May 2006, Sao Paulo came under siege as the PCC burned public property and prisons erupted in rebellion. In a series of organised attacks, 40 police officers were gunned down in one weekend. Allegations of heavy-handed police response makes the PCC a controversial subject. Some claim they are now under control. For others, the threat still looms over the city. At GOI, the Special Operations Group, they are always preparing for the worst. Rafael Marston and his team are put through their paces every week.
Vai pegar o Zeca!
In charge is Senior Officer Paulinho Cesar.
Bora, bora, é o último!
Sim, nós rezamos aqui. Nós pedimos a Santa Maria Mãe de Deus que nos perdoe pelas pessoas que nós vamos matar. Que elas permitam que o tiro do nosso rifle atinja e destrua os corações malditos. E que Deus Nosso Senhor receba essas almas e as mande de volta à terra, para que nós possamos matá-los novamente. Amém.
No matter how hard they train, cops in Sao Paulo can never completely remove the risks of the job. Just a week earlier, a GOI officer was killed.
É devastador sempre, é muito difícil. Nós somos todos muito unidos, é perder um irmão, literalmente.
Rafael Terrar was off duty when he got caught up in a bank robbery. Brazilian law states that the police are obliged to act against crime 24/7. As he tried to apprehend the robbers, he was shot dead.
Esse comprometimento dele fez dele uma referência para nós aqui, de como trabalhar bem. Simplesmente perfeito, um cara que cumpria todas as tarefas que você passasse para ele com simplicidade e com muita eficiência.
Terrar's killers are still on the run, but GOI have to put their emotions to one side as the job of policing some of the most dangerous streets on the planet goes on. Tonight they are preparing to make an insursion into one of the city's slums. Sao Paulo has the largest slum population in South America, with its favelas crammed in between the city's high-rise apartment buildings. While many are thriving communities, Some are hotbeds of crime and violence. They provide havens for criminals, and gangs are in control, many with PCC links. The favelas are often unpoliceable or simply off limits to the cops. One of these is Charles Colombo, where Goy are heading tonight.
It's a very, very dangerous neighborhood. It's the enemy territory. When you do a patrol in a favela, you can always get shot.
They're heading in to search known drug dealing locations.
The bad guys are in strategic positions, ready to defend and ready to combat. They see any police officer approaching. At night, it's very dangerous. There are a lot of guys buying drugs at this time. Now we turn off the lights because we are approaching to the favela. It's looking a little quiet.
Quiet streets mean high risk for police. If the drug dealers are active when the cops arrive, local people stay in their homes for fear of getting caught in the crossfire. The team are looking for known drug dealing locations, but the ever-changing maze of unfamiliar alleys make patrolling favelas difficult and dangerous.
Muda quase que diariamente. O corredor que está aqui hoje, amanhã não vai estar mais. E o corredor que hoje tem, amanhã não tem saída.
Round the next corner, Paulinho thinks he's spotted something.
Limpo. Essas escadas posicionadas assim, que não dão em lugar nenhum, são as escadas da fuga do tráfico. É sinal que o pessoal do tráfico fica por aqui.
They proceed with caution.
Limpou comigo. Limpou. Vai. Limpou, vai.
On this occasion, they find nothing. It's not safe for the cops to stay in the favela for too long, so they fall back to the patrol cars.
Vem!
The dealers were probably tipped off about their arrival, but for Paulinho, just having a presence here is a success for the police.
É importante que a gente mantenha a presença constante nessas favelas de maior risco. Então, se a gente não vier fazer patrulhas nessas favelas, o crime toma conta. Tem que... Isso foi um trabalho muito bom.
It's the end of the night shift for Goy. But Sao Paulo never sleeps, and neither do the police. As dawn breaks, the investigation continues for Chief Inspector Eduardo from Homicide. Five hours earlier, a prison guard was shot dead in what at first looked like a robbery gone wrong.
Aqui onde ele caiu,
The crime scene isn't revealing much, but Eduardo has a lead. The victim's brother was one of the last people seen with him. He's now been tracked down, and Eduardo is keen to see what he knows. For his own safety, his identity has been obscured.
Eu quero e preciso saber a real agora. Já.
contar.
Então, mandei.
Eu
quero saber dos caras que fizeram essa papagaiada aí.
A ideia é o seguinte, tem um cara que é amigo
do Denis,
conhecido dele, que tava com ele lá na hora.
Quem é o cara?
Esse maluco mora lá na favela. Se não foi ele sabe quem foi, que ele tá junto.
The victim was seen leaving a bar with some suspicious characters just before he died. One of them was a local man, Mr. F, who is now missing.
Mas o que está mais me chamando a atenção, o que eu acho mais estranho é que se eu estava junto com o Denis e também tomou tiro, junto com outro rapaz que a gente não sabe quem é, onde estão esses baleados? Não tem lugar nenhum, porque tinha muito tiro lá, várias cápsulas. E o Denis tomou 2 tiros, não é isso? Então, cadê o Não está em hospital, isso que está estranho.
Mr. F is now the prime suspect. As every minute passes, catching the killer becomes more difficult. They've got to move quickly to track down the suspect, Mr. F.
Só ele pode explicar o que aconteceu ontem à noite. A gente está indo na casa da mãe para ver se nós encontramos o Fernando lá.
It's urban warfare, and the cops are fighting a daily battle that they patrol one of the toughest beats on the planet. A place that witnesses almost 100 murders a week. This is Brazil. This is Sao Paulo.
In a city of 18 million, violent crime is everywhere. Gangs, drugs, casual violence and organised crime ensure that Sao Paulo police are always busy. We're with homicide. Just 7 hours after last night's murder, Chief Inspector Eduardo is heading to the address of the prime suspect. Chasing a lethal killer is risky enough, but it's not the only danger Eduardo faces around here.
É perigoso porque existe muito tráfico de entorpecente, muito traficante. Os traficantes podem achar que nós estamos atrás deles e eles geralmente fazem confronto com a polícia.
As they pull up round the corner from the address, Eduardo receives backup from the local police.
Polícia.
The door is open and Eduardo enters the house.
Polícia. Cadê seu marido?
Não sei, senhor. Desde ontem eu vou pra casa, dormir.
It seems only the suspect's wife is at home.
A senhora sabe por que eu tô aqui, né? Você vai junto, larga a mão de ser besta que você tem 2 filhos. Cobertando.
O que acontece que o senhor tá falando? Que eu tô
Não fica cobertando?
Não tô entendendo.
O que você tá sabendo?
O que o senhor tá achando aqui na minha casa que o senhor tá falando?
O que você tá sabendo?
Eu não tô sabendo de nada.
Although Mr. F's absence continues to be suspicious, after 20 minutes of questioning, the police are no closer to finding out where he is. It's a frustrating outcome for Eduardo.
O que você acha, Arnaldo, que ela tá mentindo?
É, eu acho que ela tá encobrindo, porque ele não tá aí, que ele não sabe exatamente. Ela não sabe se ele matou, mas que ele... Ela tá assustada, bastante assustada.
The vast chaos of the favelas makes catching criminals here almost impossible.
Ele pode estar em qualquer barraco daqueles. Qualquer barraco daqueles. É uma agulha num palheiro. É muito difícil. Precisaria ter uma bola de cristal hoje para saber.
It's also hard to get the cooperation of local people.
As pessoas têm medo. Então não se conta as coisas. Vai contar quem foi pra quê? Para morrer?
The investigation will go on, but for now, it's the end of a long night for Eduardo and his team. It's not just the civil police who are trying to maintain law and order. This is the military police. The military police don't investigate crime. They're a preventative force, a deterrent to stop people stepping out of line in the first place. These Special Operations Commandos are a rapid reaction unit, trained to operate both in the city and in the jungle. About to start another job is military policeman Lieutenant Jose Gonçalves.
Vamos dar tchau pro papai. E ela vai achar que vai sair.
Dá beijo aqui já você na foto. Tchau, minha filha. Ó, essa aqui é uma bênção que eu sempre dou, não é hoje não, viu?
After 20 years service, Gonçalves keeps a gun by his side at all times.
Tchau, papai.
É como a gente vestir uma calça para vir trabalhar de manhã, é eu pegar minha arma, né?
And with a new baby daughter, he's never been more aware of the dangers of the job.
Com a chegada da bebê, a gente se preocupa muito mais porque agora a minha vida tem um valor muito maior, né? Não existe dia sem perigo, né? Basta que a gente esteja na rua, especialmente fardado, para que a gente possa se tornar um ponto de referência ou um alvo, né? Céu, vamos! Bebê.
Gonçalves and his men are enacting a new zero-tolerance approach in a nearby favela, known as a saturation operation. The aim is to fill the once lawless streets with a new heavy police presence. This is favela Rio Agua Claro, home to 250,000 people on the southern outskirts of Sao Paulo. Rates of violent crime have become so bad here that the regular police were completely overwhelmed. Just outside the favela, the commandos regroup for a final briefing.
Então, ponta 1, ponta 2, tá? Retaguarda 1, retaguarda 2 e nós dois. Fechou? Vou. Agora a gente vai entrar na área de favela, propriamente dito, ok? Na área um pouco mais difícil. Existe um pouco mais de cuidado agora e disciplina.
With 20 cops killed on duty every year in Sao Paulo, they move with caution. But nonetheless, the aim of the operation is to be visible and make their presence felt.
A gente procura pessoas foragidas da justiça, qualquer tipo de entorpecente ou armamento. Você trabalha com o quê? O infrator comum, né, que é aquele que depõe as armas e se rende, e aquele que resiste até a morte. O perigo é a gente ser atingido na resistência à prisão, ele atentar contra a gente.
Many criminals here would sooner kill a cop or take their chances in a gunfight than get arrested. Going to prison means entering a world of gang violence, terrible conditions and overcrowding. As a result, prison rebellions are common in Sao Paulo. Gonçalves was part of the unit called to quash a rebellion at Franco de Rocha Penitentiary in 2001. The prisoners had barricaded the gates and were savagely beating 3 guards.
Fizeram reféns utilizando facas e armados de revólver também. Eles tinham 3 reféns. E a situação foi piorando a partir do momento que balearam o refém.
The police had to act fast. They decided to strike from the air. But with just 2 choppers available, only a handful of cops could go in. Not exactly a mission for the faint-hearted. 8 officers stepped up. One of them was Gonçalves.
2 aeronaves com 8 policiais. E para conter a rebelião de vários infratores, né? Eu podia dizer para você que tinham mais de 100 infratores no teto.
The cops were armed with rubber bullets in their shotguns.
E assim, aonde eles não esperavam, as aeronaves se aproximaram. Se nós tivéssemos sido subjugados, nos reféns e talvez até fôssemos mortos. Né? Realmente é taquicardia, adrenalina.
The decision to go in hard and fast had paid off as they brought the mob under control.
Conseguimos resgatar o refém, mas se nós não tivéssemos chegado a tempo com a aeronave, mais gente poderia ter morrido. São coisas que a gente não vai esquecer jamais.
Back downtown is another of Sao Paulo's elite police squads. This is the headquarters of the Department of Investigation's Armed Response Unit, GARA. GARA stands for Group Armed to Repress Robbery and Assault. Agent Valdisa Vieira has been in the unit 7 years. With the Angel Gabriel watching over them, GARA's 200 officers are ready to respond if their support is needed.
Ponhamos todas as delegacias do DEIC, lá existem delegacias especializadas contra o crime organizado, entendeu? Então lá tem delegacias contra roubos e furtos, de roubo a bancos, departamento de narcóticos.
While they're on call, Vieira and his partner Fernandez patrol the city's crime hotspots.
Sempre a arma preparada, sempre a arma na mão. Porque se eu deixar ela no coldre, guardada, até eu tirar a arma, pode não dar tempo de uma reação instantânea, entendeu? Já aconteceu situação de que eu fui que o perigo é iminente, de morrer ou matar alguém. Já fui em várias.
The average wage for a cop in Sao Paulo is $300 a week. For many like Vieira, they don't do it for money.
É um sacerdócio. Você tem que fazer aquilo por amor. Então, qualquer salário que seja, poderia ser um absurdo. Se você não gostasse de fazer o trabalho policial, ele seria um péssimo policial, entendeu?
Sao Paulo police process over 200,000 violent crimes every year, as well as more than 8,000 drug-related offences. The vast majority of crime happens after dark. As they patrol a quiet street, Fernandez spots someone running.
Olha lá. Correu? Cadê? Onde que entrou? Isso aí? Costa aí.
Levanta o braço, tira a mão.
Tira a mão, meu. Vai, vira de costa pra mim. De costa.
Vieira searches his pockets and he finds 2 small packets of cocaine.
Não, né? Tem mais alguma coisa? Quantos anos você tem, meu? 15 anos, vendendo cocaína aqui na rua. Onde que você pegou? Você vai levar a gente lá agora, então, tá bom?
Então.
The young man has just bought the drugs in a neighboring favela.
Como que é o moleque que você viu?
Tava tudo escuro e tava de tudo.
Você já conhece ele?
Now they've got the location, the plan is to go after the dealers.
favelas are a haven for drug dealers and their lucrative trade. These are no-go areas for the cops.
Vieira calls for backup. 3 GARA units will work together to cut the dealers off before they can vanish into the favela.
E 2 permanecerão cuidando das viaturas, né, na parte externa da favela. Nós vamos fazer uma incursão dentro da favela. Essa favela é uma das mais perigosas que nós temos aqui em São Paulo. Tá? Provavelmente a gente encontra alguma resistência lá por parte de traficantes, tá? Então todo cuidado é pouco, muita cautela na hora de entrar nessa favela. O máximo de cuidado, tá?
Acabamos de pegar o peixe pequeno, agora vamos pegar o peixe grande.
Apaga tudo, apaga tudo, apaga tudo.
Brazil is somewhere that conjures up images of bikinis, beaches and football. But for the cops in Sao Paulo, the reality is battling with the gangs of drug dealers, armed with the kind of firepower that you'd usually find on an army.
Agent Vieira of the Sao Paulo police has been tipped off about the location of cocaine dealers. With 2 other units, he's heading into one of the city's most notorious favelas.
Apaga tudo, apaga tudo, apaga tudo. Porque nós estamos chegando no local. O bairro crítico também, em questão de segurança também, um bairro crítico, bairro de periferia, tá? Então todo cuidado é pouco aqui nesse local.
They reach the edge of the favela.
Ali. Ah, já tá abordando, tá abordando. Para aí, não entra na frente. Larga, larga!
As the first unit try to stop a group of men, some of them make a run for it into the alleyways.
Correu um. Lá pra dentro. Pra dentro da favela, lá.
Up ahead, the cops think they've found something.
Isso é crack. É feito o comércio da droga aqui e estava escondido aqui debaixo das telhas aqui.
The dealers have fled, but as they are probably still close by, Vieira and his team spread out to search the area.
Cai ali. Ó. Aqui.
Around the corner, they think they've spotted some suspects. In the darkness, Vieira calls a signal to make sure they're not police officers.
Hup, hup.
With no reply, they move in.
Ei, volta. Volta, mano. Volta, tem mais alguém aí? Volta. Você aí, maluco. Vem. Passa na parede.
The men are rounded up, along with other suspects, and searched. No drugs are found, but the police check IDs to see if any of them have got previous. Once again, it looks like the favelas have provided the real criminals with an escape route.
Aí nenhum deles está sendo procurado pela justiça também. E não encontramos entorpecente e nada. Quer dizer, eles estão limpos, foram liberados, tá tudo bem, tá?
Despite the disappointment of the dealers getting away, they've obeyed the #1 rule of policing: go home alive. But it's not always that way.
Bom, nesse mesmo local aqui, inclusive nessa mesma entrada que nós entramos agora, que nós fizemos incursão, um outro policial de um outro grupo do Garra, chamado Fabrício, ele veio a óbito aqui e foi baleado por traficantes aqui. Ele morreu aqui nessa favela. Ser baleado aí, entendeu? Então por isso que a gente redobra a atenção, totalmente para que não ocorra nenhum problema como aconteceu com esse colega nosso aí, tá? Só nos encoraja mais a combater o crime.
Slowly the police in Sao Paulo are fighting back. Crime figures have been falling, but there's a long way to go. Back at Goi HQ, it can seem like a never-ending and thankless task for Paulinho Cesar and his men.
O cansaço, o estresse afeta você psicologicamente, é desgastante, é bastante agressivo e se manter bem aqui é o mais difícil. No primeiro ano, no segundo, no quinto, eu achava, eu gostava muito. Às vezes eu penso hoje que eu gostaria de não andar mais armado, de não precisar, de poder sair com meu filho um dia e arma em casa. Eu gostaria disso.
Mas não, né?
Impossível. 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 Infelizmente impossível.
Despite the challenges, retirement isn't an option.
Nunca. Nunca. Ser policial para nós é a forma da gente demonstrar para a nossa família o quanto eles são importantes para nós. Dar proteção para as pessoas que a gente ama. É por isso que a gente é policial. Nós acreditamos em servir e proteger. É o que a gente acredita. A gente está aqui para isso.
Welcome to a world where shootings, kidnappings and gang warfare are just part of the job. We're going on the journey to meet the real deal. Law enforcers who put their lives on the line every day, patrolling the most dangerous beats on the planet. So buckle up, because we're about to roll with the world's toughest cops.
Papua New Guinea is one of the most remote countries in the world. An idyllic wilderness, home to over 800 different tribes, unchanged for thousands of years. But below the tranquil surface lies a long history of tribal conflict and bloodshed. And recently, this violence has moved from the isolated highlands to the streets of the capital city, Port Moresby. As gangs swap their spears and axes for homemade guns. Carjackings, shootouts, and revenge killings keep the city in the grip of terror. With the situation at breaking point, a recent poll officially named Port Moresby as the worst city in the world. And battling to control the chaos is the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Cops who have to deal with violent criminals.
The mentality here is like, you don't listen to me, I'll kill you.
There'll be no warning shots. We're gonna shoot you on the spot.
Lawlessness on a massive scale.
We have more than 300 kilograms of marijuana.
And a volatile political state that's seen the police turn on the army.
The police was to throw tear gas into the military barracks.
Papua New Guinea, or PNG, is located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, just to the north of Australia. It has a population of just over 6 million, 300,000 of whom live in the capital, Port Moresby. Decades of corruption in government has left nearly half the population living below the poverty line, making Port Moresby a divided city. The rich hide behind razor wire, while the poor live in sprawling shanty towns. As a result, criminal gangs known as rascals have emerged from the slums, battling with the police for control of the streets. And these gangs have become more and more organised. A recent spate of audacious heists has left the police in the grip of a new crisis. Leading the fight against organised crime is the cop that PNG's criminals fear the most. Sergeant Apollos Terry of the CID unit. With 23 years in the force, nothing phases him.
I have never been moved by threats, regardless of what sort of threats have been issued to me or my family. I should not be worried. It should be the other way around. The criminals should be worried that Apollos is actually on their trail.
Borocco Police Station in the centre of Port Moresby is where the fight against organised crime is based. This rundown office is where the CID unit plan their raids on the country's criminal elite.
I am prepared to put my life on the line. I've come across a lot of dangerous situations, and I've never even given up yet.
Apollos and his team are currently closing in on one of PNG's most wanted men, William Cappis. So notorious, he's even featured on national television.
Hello and welcome to Crime Stoppers. Police intelligence has identified convicted prisoner escapee William Cappis as the mastermind behind the BSP bank robbery in Medang, in which over 2 million kina was stolen.
Having escaped from prison while serving a 22-year sentence for the attempted murder of a cop, Cappis has been on the run for the last 2 years.
A major police operation is now being launched in an effort to track down Cappis and his accomplices.
Apollos and his team have spent months tracking him. Finally, all their hard work is coming together. They're putting the finishing touches to a plan to raid the gang's hideout later in the evening. But the mission is high risk.
We got the intelligence that they were armed, and we were expecting probably shootouts.
It's 8 p.m. and the cops assemble for the raid. Just as they are leaving, Apollos decides it's too dangerous for our crew to go along.
There's no way that just I could come.
Sorry?
There's no way that just I could come.
No, I'm afraid not on this trip. No.
Backed up by PNG's heavily armed task force, the Mobile Squad, the unit are off to take down one of PNG's most wanted men. With a high chance of a shootout, they're heading out on one of the most dangerous missions of their careers.
In Papua New Guinea and its capital Port Moresby, the cops are up against violent criminals whose disregard for the law means they fear nothing.
At Port Moresby's main police station, it's the morning after a CID raid to capture one of PNG's most wanted men, William Cappis. Covered in Cappis's blood, Sergeant Apollos Terry has been up all night. But finally, he has his man. After 2 years on the run, Cappis is behind bars, having been shot in both legs after a confrontation with the cops. He's being questioned over a gold bullion heist worth over £500,000, and also the killing of a cop, although so far no charges have been brought against him. He's also brought in 26 members of Cappis's gang, 3 of whom are serving cops, suspected to be on Cappis's payroll.
Okay, basically what happened last night was my men moved into the area. We stopped them, we approached them in a very cautious way. He was considered dangerous and armed as well. So when we moved in, he tried to escape, so we wounded him. And he was taken to the hospital last night, treated, and is now currently behind bars. I am pleased, and at the same time I am tired.
As forensics get to work on the evidence, the suspects, minus a seriously injured Cappis, are led from the cells for questioning. Security has been stepped up around the station as Cappis has a history of breaking out of prison.
He was actually caught on several occasions, locked up in the cells, and he managed to escape from this. So we're taking every precaution so that he does not escape again. We normally keep the most dangerous one in a separate cells. That's the CID cell, so he's currently in one of those cells, separate cells.
But there's not much chance of him escaping this time, as later that afternoon, even the cops can't open the cells.
I think the guys lost the key to the cells, so we tried to get the doctors and the medical team to attend to him, but they could not simply because the key to the lock was misplaced.
Eventually, a solution is found.
So the guys just went in there and cut the lock off, and they're attending to him now.
With the situation under control, the police get to work processing the suspects. They need to get back out on the streets, as suspected gang members are still on the loose.
We're working on search warrants and all this, so as soon as we get the search warrants done, we will be conducting more raids.
CID may have taken out Cappis, one of PNG's most wanted men, but the country is plagued by deadly criminal gangs, the Rascals. They terrorise the community with daring robberies in broad daylight. The gangs are notorious for armed hold-ups and brutal revenge killings. In Port Moresby, outside the fortified homes of the wealthy, 50% of the population live in makeshift slums. Usually controlled by the Rascals, these settlements are often no-go areas, even for the police. But with the help of a local fixer, our crew arranged to meet a dangerous gang member deep inside Rascal territory. Because he could be targeted by the cops, he asked to remain anonymous.
My gang's called 007.
And how many of you are in the gang?
Shit. It's more than 100.
There are over 50 Rascal gangs in Port Moresby who commit violent and brutal crimes.
Like hold-ups and car thefts. We have the money, and yeah, if you disturb or stop us to get the money, we kill him. It could be anybody, men, women, or children.
Do you worry about killing another person, or do you not?
No, I don't. How can I worry when there's plenty of people around?
Rascal gangs are well armed, often with homemade guns made out of water pipes and umbrella springs. So with criminals making their own weapons, it's impossible for the cops to control the number of guns on the street.
Do you own a gun?
Yeah, I do own a gun. It's a homemade gun, like I told you.
Have you ever shot anybody?
Yeah, but I didn't kill anyone yet. Maybe I attempt to, but I didn't successfully kill someone yet.
With this casual attitude to killing, the Rascals spread terror across PNG. And one of the most feared crimes is carjacking. This footage, shot by an Australian reporter, shows the rascals in action.
Sometimes we just stand by the road, and if you drive in to the shops or maybe your house, they just run after you with a gun on your head, take you out of the car, get your car and go.
Take off. Take him over. Take him over.
If you don't cooperate, then we get to kill you. There'll be no warning shots.
Take over. Take over.
We're gonna shoot you on the spot.
PNG's gangs may be ruthless, but according to this rascal, the police force is equally unforgiving.
There's police there doing police brutality, but we don't give a fuck about it, you know? It feels like normal in this country. Yeah, everyone gets brutalized by police.
Do you fear the police at all?
Yeah, when the police catches us, it depends on them. If they want to shoot you, they shoot you. If you make a serious crime, they get to blow your legs off. In Papua New Guinea, everybody breaks the law. Even the very own people that makes the law.
In response to these allegations, the police said that there is no place in the constabulary for officers who abuse members of the public. They investigate all claims of abuse, and corrupt officers have been sacked and even imprisoned for abusing the law. The police in PNG are continuing their efforts to take action against anyone involved in brutality. In recent years, the criminals have become more and more daring in their attempts to outdo the cops. On the 23rd of December 1999, an audacious robbery signalled the start of a new crime wave in PNG. 4 armed criminals, dressed as army officers, hijacked a helicopter and attempted to rob a bank in what became known as the Millennium Robbery. Sergeant David Terry was one of the first police officers called to the scene.
What happened was they flew all the way to town and landed the chopper right on top of the bank, right behind me. After landing the chopper, the gunmen entered the bank through the top, and they wanted to rob the bank. They wanted to open the vaults.
But faced with armed resistance from the bank's security guards, the gang fled empty-handed and tried to escape in the helicopter.
All the people in town looking at the chopper on the top of the building it was very dramatic. There was a policeman who was on duty at the town police station. He ran in front of the building, took out his shotgun, and shot at the helicopter as the chopper was trying to lift off from the building. The pellet hit the side of the chopper, and as the chopper was taking off towards what must be harbour, it crashed right in front of the waterfront. This is the scene where a helicopter came down, here. Almost rammed into this big building here, flew past this way and fell right over here.
Despite crashing 80 feet to the ground, the gang survived and were determined to get away.
The occupants scrambled out and they started shooting at the police. So there was a gunfight going on here.
The innocent pilot was trapped in the crossfire.
The pilot was saved. The pilot was taken to safety by members of the police who were at the front of the harbour.
With all bystanders out the way, the battle intensified.
The boys, they stood their ground and they shot 3 on the spot.
3 of the gang members died immediately, while the 4th was caught by the police, having been injured in the shootout.
You were lucky, mate. One of them was shot and captured, but because the boys were using very high-powered weapons, you know, he sustained a lot of injuries, and as he was taken to the hospital, he succumbed to his injuries and died.
Had you ever seen anything like it before?
No, not in my history with the police force. It looked like a war zone, or seemed like a terrorist attack, you know, like what you see in London or in America.
Despite the major crime epidemic in PNG, every year thousands of hopefuls apply to join the force. A few miles outside Port Moresby is the National Police Training Centre of Bumana. Police Constable Patrick Palangat has been a cop for 2 years. Now he's training to become a member of the most hardcore unit in PNG, the Mobile Squad. In his short time in the force, Patrick has learnt about the dangers of policing in PNG.
Yeah, we get everything here. The mentality here is like, if you don't listen to me, I'll kill you. So that's what happens most of the time. They kill each other. Nowadays, rascals aren't afraid, so they're not afraid to open up on us. Even if we're in public, sometimes we catch the crooks, but yeah, shit happens.
The Mobile Squad, otherwise known as SSD, is PNG's elite task force. They were formed to take down the country's most dangerous criminals. From the brutal city streets to the untamed badlands of the bush, their beat is one of the most extreme in the world. Getting into the Mobile Squad is far from easy. From over 4,000 applicants each year, only 26 are selected for the unit. Staying in is just as tough.
On my count.
Today, Patrick must pass a fitness test, fail, and it's back to the street patrol with the regular cops.
Very exhausting. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
The final test is a 10K run in the stifling 35-degree heat.
Your time starts.
Why do you love it so much?
Comradeship. It's like these guys, I don't know their past history, I don't know where they come from, but since we've come here, they've already watched my back, I've watched theirs. So we're pretty much brothers.
The grueling run comes to an end.
How did it go, Patrick?
It's good. It's good.
You think you passed?
Yeah, I passed, definitely. Ask these guys, they'll tell you.
How are you feeling?
Fucked. I'm pretty fucked.
Having passed the test, Patrick knows that harder work lies ahead.
Nowadays, especially here in Moresby, there's a lot of sort of bad feelings towards the police. So a lot of police personnel off duty, they get into trouble. I worry all the time. Basically, I might get bashed up or worse. Yeah, I worry about my life sometimes.
Back at Barocco Police Station, Apollos and the CID team are holding a briefing. They are preparing for a string of raids. 2 days ago, they captured William Cappis, a man who they'd been hunting for 2 years. They also brought in 26 suspected members of his gang, 3 of whom were serving police officers. But not only are the unit risking their lives fighting the criminal element, there's also a danger from within the force. Some members of the team have been threatened by corrupt cops.
I just want to make a comment here because
we seem to be receiving numerous threats. Like it's not all of the police force are fighting against it. Because we are thinking of our family, we have to take it very seriously.
Threats like this mean cops in PNG are fighting more than just the criminals.
If you see some policeman, you look at him, maybe make him kind of you suspicious, you give him name, like I'm giving him metro. Any policeman step out of the land, I think there's no place for him in the police force. Okay, he's got to go. And you put him with them, trust him, let me walk both them, let's move forward, okay? Okay, anything else? Any final comments? No? Okay.
Despite the threats, there's work to be done. They're on the hunt for more members of Kapas's gang. So Apollos sets off with 10 heavily armed members of the elite mobile squad. We're with the cops in Papua New Guinea, where the traditions of tribal culture mean the cops face an uphill battle to maintain law and order. Head of PNG CID unit, Sergeant Apollos Terry, and 10 heavily armed men are heading out on a string of raids, following the arrest of one of PNG's most wanted men, William Kapis. There's a strong possibility the criminals will be armed, and so he's not taking any chances.
When we arrive at the location, we will storm the house, surprise them. That's the best ammunition for such operations. We had intelligence reports that there were actually ammunition and firearms in that location. So if we do come across anyone with a firearm, we're ready for anything.
After a tense 20-minute drive, the unit are deep in one of the city's settlements.
Operational target now. They're not expecting us now, so I don't think they'll be rolling out the red carpet.
We're here. Wait. When it comes to making an entrance, Apollos doesn't mess about. The gang doesn't appear to be in. They probably received a tip-off about the raid.
I think this they didn't reset last night. Seems they didn't reset last night.
The team get to work searching for evidence, linking the suspects to the robberies they believe Kapis was involved with.
We're looking for firearms or money that was stolen during the robbery.
It's not long before they make a shocking discovery.
We found a brand new uniforms, military uniforms.
What's the significance of the uniforms?
We had instances where major robberies were committed using military and police uniforms. So with what we found now, we'll probably try to connect them to the crimes that were committed using military and police uniforms.
This find could be a vital piece of evidence to help convict Kapis and his gang of some of PNG's most high-profile robberies.
Where do people get hold of army uniforms?
They're probably from their friends in the military, also from the police uniforms too. They're coming from the friends in the police force. Okay.
The police start loading the suspects' possessions onto their vehicles. They believe that many of the goods may have been bought with stolen cash.
It doesn't work. You know, he's just a vagrant and then see that very expensive things in his house, you know. So that's why we have to take him to the station and then he has to come and produce receipts where he bought them and then we can return them otherwise, you know.
With the evidence collected, Apollos wants to move on to the next raid as quickly as possible.
Okay, you got one in there. We may start moving on something to the next location before start Ringo come.
Yeah, before start Ringo.
going to a place called Rainbow. That's our next target. We believe to be William Capri's accomplice. Such missions, it's always dangerous.
As they arrive at the second location, the police move quickly to secure the area. They find a number of suspected gang members in the garden. The team search the property. They discover a stash of ammunition.
Aram, di mana sokolo extreme law sin fingerprinta. Ibla clear. So blow shot just took out sona then me finish me go. Ibla clear. Bajlo owapo.
Unsurprisingly, none of the gang will admit to owning the bullets. So Apollos gets tough.
Arama, ibla ko misian, nunggu ibla ko sin pena trango. So blow shot just took isu sona me ko takalo station. Nunggu ibla ko sin ibla totok. Ibla totok isu, nunggu tembe ibla sin pen mito ibla. We found 3 bullets. We will take them to the police station and ask them where the firearm is.
Are they all under arrest?
Yes, they're under arrest.
The 8 suspects are squeezed into a police van and taken back to the station for questioning.
In Papua New Guinea, not only are the cops battling against high levels of crime, a lack of resources means they're having to do it with one arm tied behind their backs.
There are just 4,900 police officers in the entire PNG force, policing a population of over 6 million people. With so few cops, catching criminals is an uphill battle. And even if the cops do lock them up, they might not have to suffer the horrendous conditions for very long. The rascal that spoke to our crew alleges that there are ways of avoiding jail.
The last job I did put me in prison. Fuck. Yeah, it was like break and enter, hold up, and cut it. But I escaped it. I paid the policeman to get my way out. Because if I don't, then I'll be in the prison. So I gave him a 50 and I came out. He got that money and accepted with a smile, and I made no big deal out of it.
50 kina is the equivalent of just £11.
Even police need money, They don't get highly paid. How can you live with 300 kina when there's 3,000 kina offered to you for free?
In response to these allegations, the police said that they recognise that there have been instances where prisoners have escaped from police custody in suspicious circumstances, and these cases are under investigation. If these allegations are proved, they will review their procedures to ensure that this doesn't continue. In the remote highlands, many villagers grow potent marijuana for sale in the city. And the drug trade is controlled by criminal gangs. They're often under the influence when they commit their brutal crimes. But the police are fighting back. Today, the Vice Squad are having a clear out. On wasteland just outside Port Moresby, they're burning marijuana seized during their drugs raids. Leading the battle against drugs is Inspector Joel Capinus.
We have more than 300 kilograms of marijuana. There's so much marijuana leaves that you need to make that weight.
On the streets of the UK, these drugs would be worth more than £1 million. But for PNG's criminals, the marijuana has taken on a far more sinister value.
Drugs are being traded for guns too. It's a dangerous trend now. Like in Papua New Guinea, before arms is not a problem, but now it's a problem.
With the bonfire built, Joel sets fire to 300 kilos of grade A cannabis. As well as marijuana, the Vice Squad have been busy taking other illicit materials off the streets of PNG.
Pornography is illegal in PNG, so you can't find any magazine such as Playboy sold in the country.
With PNG's strict moral laws, there's some unusual items going on the fire.
Some of those things that we refused in the country are sex aid materials like penis enlargers or vibrators that anything to do with sex connotations.
It's really hot here.
The cops have burnt a huge amount of drugs. But they're not just up against criminals. Many villagers sell dope just to survive.
Ordinary people from the villages, they cultivate marijuana and sell them to get money for their children's school fees and to buy basic needs for themselves. So it's not confined to criminals. Everybody sells marijuana.
PNG is plagued by drugs, gangs and corruption. But when civil war broke out in 1990, the chaos reached new heights. 500 miles northeast of Port Moresby is Bougainville, one of over 600 islands that make up PNG. It was here that a dispute over one of the world's largest copper mines led to a bloody civil war that lasted nearly 10 years and claimed an estimated 50,000 lives. Angry islanders formed the Bougainville Revolutionary Army, the BRA, and waged a guerrilla campaign against the government to stop them plundering the island's natural resources. With the army struggling to control the chaos, the police mobile squad were drafted in. Senior Constable Andrew Cumbia is a Bougainville veteran who did 7 tours of duty during the conflict.
The environment itself was very scary. You cannot see many people moving around. We have been shot at many times, but you don't know where the enemy is.
For Andrew, the guerrilla fighting was a whole new world.
Being a policeman, it's very hard because I haven't been trained as a army personnel. I thought that I was going to be a policeman, not to be involved in a war.
With no end in sight, the situation took a bizarre twist. When back in Port Moresby, the Bougainville conflict caused the police and the army to start fighting each other. A dispute with the government over funding sparked an army mutiny. Loyal to the government, the police launched an assault on the army's Port Moresby base.
The police was to throw tear gas into the military barracks.
5 army officers were injured during the attack. But while political tensions raged on the mainland, the fighting on Bougainville saw many cops pay the ultimate price.
This me and my best friend, Stephen Talley, we were shot by BRA.
Stephen was attacked by militants while bathing in a river.
When he went down to the river, he was ambushed, he was shot, chopped with the machetes, and left in the river. They took his gun and took off. And then when the boys had the gunshot, they went down to the river and they found Stephen's body was in the river.
He was just 26 years old.
I miss him, but you know, as I said, life goes on. I'm lucky to be alive.
After taking so many casualties, the police learnt valuable lessons. and now train recruits for hostile environments like Bougainville. At Mobile Squad Barracks, Police Constable Patrick Palangat is packing for a training mission out in the bush. He'll spend 7 days in PNG's lawless wilderness. But packing isn't going to take very long.
They're gonna teach us how to survive in the bush. So when we leave camp, this is all I'm gonna carry. Water bottle here, whatever else I need here, and here, and here. Plus our arms and maybe a knife and axe. That's it. We're gonna go without rations, go with no food.
What kind of things will you end up eating?
Snakes, maybe, snails, frogs.
This survival training could mean the difference between life and death. With 80% of the country covered in dense bushland, rascal gangs in PNG often hide in the outback after committing vicious crimes in the city. And it will be Patrick's job to track down these criminals in some of the toughest terrain on earth.
Usually they send mobile guys to places where people don't go, and they send them after crooks that most other policemen wouldn't want to go after. I carry homemade guns, they carry bush knives, and they're willing to do grievous bodily harm to another just to get what they want.
Up against ruthless criminals, Patrick is happy to have all the help he can get to stay alive.
This is what I wear usually when we go for situations where we know there's gonna be a shootout. It's good shit. This stuff will save your life. Yeah.
In Papua New Guinea, a culture of tribal violence and high levels of poverty mean that the cops are trying to control a criminal element of society that has no regard for the law.
The country's isolated highlands provide the perfect hideout for criminals on the run from the cops. The police have to train their officers to track down vicious criminals who have fled to the outback. Deep in the hostile bush, the Mobile Squad recruits are 6 days into their survival training. Police Constable Patrick Palangat knows that this training is essential for the cops to stay one step ahead of the criminals.
Rascals, when they do crime they do in the cities, they'll always run to the bush to lay low for a while. We come out here to learn how to go out in the bush and catch these suspects.
Do you like catching the bad guys?
Yeah, it's exhilarating.
Tracking criminals in the bush carries a high risk, so it's vital that the cops are well armed.
AR-15 Bushmaster. Made in US of A.
Squad leader, Inspector Holden Tomanabai, is well aware of the unique dangers of PNG's wilderness.
You're chasing men right into the bush, and you're not too sure whether he has firearms, he has weapons. The rascal will be prepared to kill the police. It's not an easy task, having to try and capture the rascals when they get into the bush.
As well as fighting rascals, the training also prepares recruits for any conflicts between PNG's 800 tribes.
If you have a tribal fight going up in the highlands, people fighting with bows and arrows, you would not like to bring a riot squad from London here with their batons and shields and say, stop the tribal fight, do you? And therefore, we try to design trainings that are appropriate to address those type of issues.
After 6 days without rations, the unit are finding out exactly what it takes to be a police officer in PNG.
You have to be very mentally tough to be a policeman in PNG. You have to be physically tough too. Let's just say that.
Back in Port Moresby, the constant struggle between the police and the criminals rages on, as ruthless killings plague the city. In the settlements, there's little option but a life of crime. So there's no end to the violence in sight.
I don't kill for fun. I kill for money. Who cares about the victim? Everyone's a victim. Everyone needs money to survive. If you don't have money, you might as well kill another person to eat his flesh.
And the police will always be the enemy.
You have every right to shoot a policeman. Who cares? You shoot them, they shoot you. And we are Papua New Guinea. We're meant to break the law.
For Senior Constable Andrew Kumbia, the hatred between the cops and the criminals runs deep.
Like shooting a criminal, to me, I don't feel anything. I feel like I did something good for the sake of every innocent life that these people goes around and terrorize.